Hi, everyone. Quick reminder that this is part 2 of our discussion on redefining the role of SEO in an AI world. If you missed part 1, that's okay, but I do encourage you to check it out as well. There's a link in the description if you're watching or listening on YouTube. On all other platforms, it'll be the episode right before this one. Now, let's wrap up this very important discussion. So those are two areas that we feel like there's really fundamental shifts, right, of how SEO can help within an organization. But I want to talk about, there's a couple of different places where, yes, there's some change, but areas that are still important and maybe even more important. And Jenny, I want to start that off by talking about how SEO aligns with and can drive content strategy within an organization. And I think maybe you're going to tell our audience that content is still important. Right.
Maybe just a little, but it really goes back to what I was talking about just before this. Although it feels different, it's really not. This omni-channel messaging is still so important. And in terms of content creation, we really have to lean in on the things that make our brands different and unique and special. And it's not really, it's what's old is new again. It's when we talk about content creation in the context of SEO and in the context of AI, especially, we have so much content out there already that's AI generated. And what we're finding is that fully AI generated content does not perform well. We really need that human touch. And so, I really hope you're not out there replacing all of your content writers with AI, because you're going to learn lessons that a lot of companies have already learned the hard way, which is that either Google's going to de-index those pages because they don't provide any unique value, or you're just going to drop in the rankings and wonder why. And the reason why is because you're not offering anything other than next best token to your visitors. You're not adding anything to the content. And so going back to what's old is new again, we still have to provide great content to customers. Now, how this shifts a little bit in the AI world is things like chunking. I really hate that term, but like chunking content into bite-sized pieces. It seems new for AI, but the truth is that humans have had the attention span of goldfish for about the last 15 years. So if you're not catching them with something that's clearly put out with clear headings and clear subheadings and bullets, you're losing them anyway. So all you need to do for the AI companies and the AI tools is what you've needed to do for customers all along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
My 2 cents.
What did you say? You lost me.
The only thing that I will add to that, because those are some great points, where the information gain is critical. And then there's also AI does a really good job of sounding confident even when it's wrong. And so there was a moment where one of the co-founders, Brent, had talked about how he had ChatGPT help create an itinerary for his trip, his family trip to Europe. And he mentioned how within that itinerary, there was a restaurant that was permanently closed. There was a train station that doesn't exist unless it's like Harry Potter's 9 3/4 platform. But there's just stuff where it sounds good, but if you just leave it to AI to create and you don't do, as Jenny had said, have a human look at it, you're not going to catch these things. And so there's still such a heavy reliance on users to be able to use AI perhaps as a draft or perhaps as a starting point, but then be supplemented by the expertise that subject matter experts have, that's what really can help make sure that the content is not bad and harmful in terms of, I mean, not dangerous, but in terms of it's leading users astray, and then actually making it something that provides so much value that they think, wow, I can't get this anywhere else. And so just wanted to call out the potential side effects of them hallucinating when you try to prompt it to create something.
It's a really big problem, and it becomes an even bigger deal in regulated industries when you're talking about health and government and financial. There's so much risk there, and you want to handle it very carefully and make sure that your organization has a policy on how you're using AI.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point. And for the audience out there that may be seeing some of these headlines about, clicks and traffic going down, is there any advice that we can give them in terms of the type of content that we feel like is still, actionable in this AI era? Is there's something that they should be looking at to create that might still lead to a user click, a user visit to their website?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that you can do that an AI still can't do. Something like a calculator. If you have a financial site
Yeah.
that does, let's just say, a mortgage calculator, that's something that AI cannot do reliably. Trust me. Or another example is like virtual reality sort of implementations, like being able to see furniture in your home, or being able to understand what color the paint is going to look like on your walls, as I think Laura had a recent experience with. It's good to see what it's going to look like before you paint the room, right, Laura?
Right. Yeah.
Out of the many degrees I feel SEO should have, this would tap into the psychology degree as well, in terms of even looking at the types of content where AIOs are generated, to be able to see and examine those, the ones that maybe your site ranks for or you're visible in the AIOs, and say, has the user's question been satisfied? Are there additional questions that they might ask based on the information that's provided to them? Or is there additional information they want to dig into based off of the initial question? And I think those are important things to ask in terms of AIOs give very comprehensive answers now, which is great. What's also great about human nature is we're curious and we want to learn more. And since we have access to so much information at our fingertips, seeing and tying content not isolated as one piece of content, but seeing how it's connected as a whole. And we refer to topic clusters a lot, where you might have some sort of pillar page or main topic, and then you have additional content around the subtopics within that. And the way that AI has evolved, that might be within the ecosystem of a set of pages. It might be within the ecosystem of one page where certain subtopics are mentioned. But having that type of connection in mind really helps with understanding what content is important and what content might be helpful for showing up in AI overviews, and then what content might be helpful for getting a click to your site, as Jason had asked.
Yeah. So clearly we could spend many episodes talking about content, but we do need to move on to the last topic we wanted to discuss today, which is tech. So technical SEO. Stefan, I think there's still an important role that SEO plays within the organization of, helping leaders understand the value of tech, sort of traditional technical SEO. But then I think there's also this new angle of helping these business leaders and executives understand these newfangled AI concepts and translating that into language that makes sense at a business level and helps them take action. So can you spend a few minutes just talking to the audience about the importance of that?
Yeah, of course. And I think there's a lot of things to unpack here. First off, there are a lot of technical things that we deal with from just the standard traditional SEO perspective. And so that is not going away. And I think there's still great importance to that. One, because we're still seeing massive amounts of traffic that are coming in from organic search, traditional search, as well as a lot of those different things can be applied to the things that we're trying to do to optimize our presence in AI engines. And so I think that's one important thing to mention, because there are leaders that sometimes ask us. In fact, we had so this is a common question where some leaders might be asking, should we not do SEO anymore and just focus on GEO or focusing on AI engines? And I want to scream, but I'll just calmly answer, no, it's better to be able to focus on both and not lose our focus on SEO, because we're still getting a large portion of traffic, even just as a percentage of total.
Exactly.
And so there are things like schema markup, like that are important to SEO, and it seems like might be important to AI engines. There are elements, though, that might vary a little bit, that with the evolution of these AI engines, they just don't crawl the same way that a regular search engine or traditional search bot might crawl. And so there's some really interesting nuances. Like one thing is JavaScript rendering. And without getting too technical, back in the day, it used to be where if you just had straight HTML, that was the best way to go for search engines to be able to understand your website. Google has made massive leaps in being able to render JavaScript, which has enabled an evolution of frameworks that a lot of sites use pretty commonly. And so now with AI engines, they're not able to digest and render JavaScript as well as traditional search engines like Google. And so that creates complications in them being able to access your content. And so I think on top of that, I know Jenny had talked about content strategy. And so within content, understanding how AI engines identify and categorize entities to be able to format the content and the pages in ways that are the most digestible for them. And I think the bottom line here is just showing that there is a different way that AI engines, there's a lot of the same ways that AI engines digest the content in relation to traditional search bots. There are some different ways, and here are the ways that it affects your site. And I think things like tracking tools where we can show the number of mentions a site might have versus competitors, and different things like that help show that there's different ways that we can improve for AI presence, or AI engine presence rather.
That's an amazing summary, Stefan. I would agree with everything you said. I just want to add that this is where we get into the nuance, right? The whole AI bots can't crawl JavaScript. But what we do see is that they do use Google and Bing to search, and then they can get the rendered JavaScript from that source. So this is where I don't want to say that there's any kind of secret sauce here, because there's not. Anybody can learn to be an amazing SEO. But it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, and reading through all of the current information that's changing every single day, to be able to make those business calls. And so, definitely to our viewers, don't put yourself down that rabbit hole. Just hire somebody who knows what they're doing, because it's really hard to keep up with all of that. And the tech is still super important. Do not throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one. Still have to get those href line tags right when you have international sites. Still have to get that schema right to show up in featured snippets. So many things that still have to go into a holistic SEO program that are way beyond AI optimization or GEO or whatever the flavor of the month is.
Yeah, these are all amazing points. And I think to bring it all home, like if I put myself in the position of a CMO or some marketing executives, I want a team, I want individuals that have this strong sort of cross-functional understanding, right? In these times of change, you want these smart voices that you can trust that aren't just sort of hunkered down in their silo. Like I'm the SEO guy. Like I don't understand email. I don't want to talk about social. Like that, you can't function that way anymore, right? And you know, you all mentioned earlier that the SEO role has kind of been that Swiss Army knife for a while now. And I think, the takeaway that I took from this conversation is that cross functionality, that curiosity even is really going to be more important to serve our clients and those stakeholders. So that's my story. But as you know, here in the principal's office, we always like a second opinion. So I asked ChatGPT to summarize what we discussed today, and I said, let's hear what the summary would be as if it was a Nate Bargatze stand-up bit. And since we have a live comedian on our team, Stefan, I'm going to let you take us home.
I can't wait for this. And just for the record, I still have not seen this. So once Jason
Well, you're
sends
about
it to
to
me on the fly,
and it
there's
is
nothing that a
brilliant.
stand-up comedian loves more than not knowing what he's going to say before he goes on stage. So this
Called
is
improv, isn't it?
It's improv.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's true.
The floor is yours, Mr. Shatani.
All right, okay, I'm going to try and do this in a Nate Bargatze, even though I can't do a Nate Bargatze impression, but let's see. So, apparently, SEO people are now omni-channel consultants, which sounds made up. They're out here trying to get AI's attention with email campaigns and PR. One guy said TikTok might matter. I was like, does AI even have a phone? Pause for laughter. Then it turns out we have to measure stuff. Not traffic, though. That's too easy. Now it's like, how visible are we emotionally? Content. Pausing for my own laughter on that one. I like that. Content's still important, which is just great because content is like the most words. And the tech stuff, it's back to square one, I guess. We get semantic triplets, vectors, co-inference. I nodded in a meeting and then Googled all of it. I think I might just be an engineer now. LLMs can't read JavaScript, which makes them basically my dad. So yeah, SEO is still here. It's just different and also the same. You know what I mean? Me neither. That's my time, folks.
All right. Well, great work, Mr. Bagazzi or Shatani. I can't even tell the difference anymore. But all right. That, I think, is all the knowledge that we're legally allowed to dispense for today. So don't forget to like the episode, subscribe to the show, leave us a comment about how you think SEO is changing or staying the same, or who knows. Have a great day, and we hope to see you in the principal's office again soon.